Detective Fukatap had received a severed hand in the mail. A significant find, yes, but how did it fit his theory? Ever since he stumbled upon the two murdered journalists, brutally slaughtered, Fukatap was convinced that the poor souls had been slaughtered in their beds, and were most likely killed by aliens. Fukatap was determined to get to the bottom of things. He quickly realized that he was up against some powerful forces, but he would not be deterred. He was a detective from a far-off galaxy, and he was not afraid of anything, or anyone. As he began to investigate further, Fukatap discovered that there might be more than one murderer involved. These aliens were smart and dangerous, but Fukatap was smarter and more dangerous. He would catch them, even if it meant putting his own life on the line. Yul Fukatap, private detective and all-around genius, was in his element. A clue had come in the post and it was the hand of Jane Nosey, the wife of John Nosey, the two journalists who were so horribly slaughtered in their marital bed. It arrived in a jiffy bag, and no attempt had been made to conceal the contents. Upon opening the padded envelope, Yule was convinced more than ever of a conspiracy at large. Surely the sorting office would have smelled the noxious odor coming from the pores of the envelope. He undid the bubble wrap and brought out the severed hand. Yule's deductive skills were second to none. He quickly ascertained that he was grasping the hand of fate. Yet, there was something very fishy about this latest development. The fact that there was no blood on, or around the hand, indicated that it had been cut off, after death. But why? And by whom? Yule's mind raced as he considered all possibilities. Other than aliens, who he still regarded as the most likely perpetrators, there could be any number of suspects. John Nosey himself. Impossible. Nosey was dead. Murdered brutally in his bed? Disgruntled employees of their newspaper company, or even rival journalists who wished them ill? Whoever it was, they would soon regret crossing Yul Fukatap. The clever detective stared at the severed hand in disbelief. It had arrived that morning, addressed to him personally. He knew it was the hand of Jane Nosey, the wife of John Nosey, two journalists who had been brutally slaughtered in their marital bed just 1 week before. It wore a gold ring inscribed JN. He knew there was a conspiracy at large, and he was convinced, more than ever, that this latest clue was proof of foul play. Surely the sorting office would have suspected something, but no, they had just stamped it delivered and sent it on its way. Fukatap undid the bubble wrap and brought the severed hand to his nostrils, careful to avoid contact with the outstretched finger. The smell was foul, clearly an effect of late delivery. He shuddered and placed it back in the envelope. This was proof that something sinister was going on, and he intended to get to the bottom of it. Detective Fukatap had been following the trail of a murderer now for weeks. The clues were few and far between, but finally, after months of frustrating investigation, he felt he had a breakthrough. He knew that aliens were hiding among the humans in London, and he was certain that they were behind the murders. He wasn't sure what their motive was, but he was determined to bring them to justice. With the help of his trusty sidekick, Bobo, he would set out to track down the killers. It wasn't easy. These aliens were cunning and dangerous, but Yul Fukatap was not one to give up. Detective Fukatap put on his windbreaker. The cabbage and beans he'd had for lunch played havoc with his small intestine, even smaller than most, being a hybrid. He had been meaning to take a trip to the post office for some time now, but there was always something else getting in the way. Today, however, there was no denying that it was finally time to go. He grabbed his coat and headed out the door, making a mental note to drop by the vet on his way home to pick up Bobo. Bobo had been at the vet's now for 2 hours. The poor animal was having his bits snipped to stop him trying to make out with Gigi, the neighbor's prized poodle. Ever since she won her rosette from Crufts, that bitch was unbearable. He glanced back on his way out, an old habit, when something caught his eye, something that seemed out of place. That envelope standing next to an old stuffed bird on the table near the front door seemed downright fishy somehow. Then it came to him. Of course. The hand. Yuli, a name given by his adoptee parents in Siberia, at least he assumed it was his name. They always said it, "You'll do this or you'll do that." Yul plucked the jiffy bag from the small bureau, knocking over the bird in situ. When he bent down to pick it up, the finger stuck out from the top of the envelope, a horrible accusing digit. The scent of the rotting flesh was abominable. Gingerly, he placed it in his rucksack. As he made his way towards the post office building, he couldn't help but notice how quiet it was outside, probably because of all the snow that had been dumped on top of everything overnight. He reached the post office and went inside, only to find that the line was snaking around the street adjacent to the entrance. Fuka muttered under his breath. Just as he was about to join the queue, however, he realized that he needed to use the bathroom urgently. "I'll be back in a jiffy," Yule said apologetically, conscious of the giveaway pun. "Please hold my place." He darted off towards the next-door cafe, intending to use the restroom. Once inside, he did his business as quickly as possible and then headed back outside, only to realize that he'd forgotten his envelope. When he returned, the jiffy envelope was lying open on the linoleum floor next to the toilet seat. He grabbed it and looked inside. Empty. Someone had pinched the hand. Thanks for tuning in to Lizzie Snoopes, Breakout. You've been listening to Joe Purcell as Reggie, Alice Wickham as Julie Adams of People Services, Joanne Rucco as Reggie's girlfriend Dolly, Sarah Lockett as Lizzie and Millie. The tourists were played by Susie Hackle, Anthony Sena, Catherine Black, and Alice Wickham. Music, Plastic Faces was written and performed by Joanne Rucco. Tune in again. And don't forget to visit our website at LizzieSnoopes.com.